what's the mood like in your room right now with your kids?
Obviously disappointed. I think we just haven't played up to expectations the last 3 weeks and given up a lot of big plays. Obviously, the performance in the Jones the last 2 weeks has not been what we expected, nor how we prepped. And we've got to get the air back in them today and get back to work and get our sights on Baylor.
And as a coaching staff, how do you balance the fact that you guys are beat up and banged up, but you need to work on tackling? How do you walk that line?
It is what it is, and we've said it all along. Guys have to step up. We're looking at really what we're doing. Why are teams having success? And it goes back to not what the opponent is schematically doing or how they're executing. It's really how we're executing. We said that all along to our guys, and then you strip it all the way down, and the feeling doesn't feel that way in the course of a game. Certainly the last 2 weeks were kind of steamrolled on us early. We got off to a bad start, but then when you go back and look at the overall product of what you're putting on the field and you look at what hurt you, what helped, again, 8 big plays against us, had 7 runs over 12 yards, which we can't allow. And we had 1 pass of 20 yards, but that was 8 snaps of 187 yards, and then we play 48 snaps of 180 yards. So there's still a lot of good ball. That tells us that regardless of who we have on the field, we should be able to get the job done. Guys have to do a better job of just trusting the other 10 guys on the field and executing their assignment. There was too many gap miss assignments, popping gaps in their gaps and falling out of gaps, techniques, fundamentals, and obviously when we had guys in position to make tackles, finishing off tackles and holding them to a 4-yard gain or a 3-yard gain goes to a 13-yard gain, those types of things.
Have you been able to diagnose the problem areas on the defense, or when teams are hitting the big plays, is it just kind of random where they're hitting it?
Yeah, we did. I went back and we looked at the last 3. Matter of fact, this morning we looked at there's 22 explosive plays against us last 3 games for a lot of yards. And that's over 23 yards per play. I can't remember the exact numbers of 600 and some odd yards of 22 snaps. And then you look at whatever the other number was of those 3 ball games, and we're giving up like 3.9 per play. So a lot of good ball, but in the middle of it, it's not fitting a blitz correctly, gaps. It's been base calls. It's been vanilla. It's been pressure. It's been a little bit of a common, guys not doing their job and executing what they're supposed to do. So I think guys have been pressing. We felt that last couple weeks, trying to do too much. Will Smith, for example, who's in my room, I'm ultimately responsible for all these guys, but here he is playing inside linebacker, been playing great all year, graded poorly, and I don't mean to pick on him, but just not doing his assignment and jumping out of gaps and trying to do too much, not trusting the other guys around him. So got a little bit of that going on in times where we need to step up and make plays, and we got to get back on track. And it's we got to relax and go do our thing and quit worrying about is Dartwan Bush playing, is Terrence Bullock going to play, is J.J. Gaines. J.J. Gaines is not going to be back this year, so it is what it is. And we just got to get back to that swagger that you asked me about a couple weeks ago. And certainly when you give up this many points and this many yards, those guys are going to take it personal. We're taking it personal and trying to find a way.
Do you think you disrupt Baylor's offense?
Say it again?
You disrupt Baylor's offense.
Yeah, this will be a huge challenge. This will be one of the best groups we've seen. Physical up front. They run the ball. They're going to look at the box for numbers. And then matchups on the perimeter. They've got a lot of speed everywhere. But again, I think for us, we're going to have to keep them guessing a little bit and not do too much where it hurts our kids as far as just run fits or assignments, because this will be the fastest group we've seen to date, but also to be able to mix up the box. How many numbers are they counting in the box? Do they have a run? Do they not? And then if they try to run the ball, guys just getting off blocks, fit our gaps, get off blocks, make tackles on the perimeter, and then certainly make them have to work the big field and snap it several times, 4 points. And in the red zone, which we have not done a good job of the last really 3 weeks, but certainly the last 2 weeks, of responding if it gets inside the red zone. Let's hold them to a field goal block opportunity and not 7 point. That's how games have, had some legs against us the last 2 weeks. So we got to do a good job with that.
Do you think that after the first 7 games, the feeling amongst players on defense was, oh, we got this, we know what we're doing, and they've sort of backed off on performing either in practice or in games or in both?
I don't think they've backed off performing. I do think in the Oklahoma game, they felt like there wasn't a panic that we were going to get some stops down the stretch. And I think when we didn't, in certain money down situations for us, and didn't get off the field, and we kind of got off balance, and then they ran the ball on us, I think that might have opened their eyes, shook them up a little bit. We obviously haven't recovered since then. We haven't played near to our standards, and I know we've had some chemistry issues, and we've had to shuffle the deck, but we've never, all the way through the Kansas State game, as bad as that looked at times, we challenged them at halftime to step up and play their best individually, whatever they graded in the first half individually. Let's look at what your grade's going to be, and obviously came out in the second half and played well. I mean, really shouldn't have gave up any points, and we gave up the quarterback run on the 3rd and 5 that went out the backside on us. That was not what they're doing. It was us doing our assignment. So I think guys have been pressing to do too much, and then ultimately it rides on my shoulders to get the ship right, and we're working hard, and I can guarantee we're going to get this thing fixed.
Coach, does it fire you guys up when Coach comes out at the end of the game and says we were outplayed, we were outcoached? Did that kind of light a fire under the staff and under the players going into this week?
Yeah, there was. We already have a fire, so obviously Coach is a competitor. We're all competitors. Not putting the product on film and on the field right now of what's expected from you guys, what's expected from us. There's no greater expectations than the leaders in this building, and we're just trying to maybe change the culture here of what has happened in the past. I think some of it, Betsy, has been here we go again. We're going through all these injuries. Woe is me. All that, we haven't won games down the stretch the last couple years, and now here we are again. So the psyche of this group, and I'm really just talking about my unit, I think that's the key, because I think a lot of it's between their ears, and it was shown on Saturday again in the second half. There are spurts where we're playing really good defense, and then there's spurts where we fade away. Certainly for us to give up a home run on a 63-yard touchdown run to open the game, took the air out of the Jones, took the air out of our sidelines, and did not set the tempo for what we wanted to do. But all that being said, we got to step up and respond and find a way. And it is what it is now. I mean, our voice is going to be, let's do this for one another. Let's go have some fun. Obviously, this thing hasn't played out the way we want it to. But you got two big ball games. We can knock Baylor off a great season that they're having, and certainly we have a big test at the end. So it's all about us and not really about what the opponent's presenting us.
As you mentioned that 63-yard play, and I was looking at that last night on the ESPN highlights going back through. It looked like on that play, Bill got blocked, Trey got blocked, he got washed up the field. Was that something where you said they blocked everything correctly?
They did. They had a well executed play. We still had some things that we could have controlled with how that play played out. So hats off to Kansas State for execution, and bad for us not to get off blocks and go make plays and some of the things that, Will Smith, for example, should have gone over the tight ends block to give us another piece on the perimeter. It was outside zone, and they had 2 pullers, and we didn't get it spilled from our bandit, which should have flatlined it more, and it created a seam. Again, there's things that we could have done to prevent that play. Certainly not a home run. Should have been capped off, and we go to the next snap. So I think, again, went back, Don, and looked at us, really looking and evaluating, what is it the play calling? Is it the personnel? What is it? Anytime you go through some adversity like this, you reach deep and you look yourself in the mirror, and you try to find answers for these guys, because they're looking for leadership and they're looking for answers. And one thing about our kids, they did not quit for 60 minutes, and we looked for that. We looked to see, are we giving up? Are we not playing hard? Are we not playing physical? And we're not seeing that. So obviously we got to clean some things up, quit hurting ourselves, and force people to have to drive the length of the field, which, hats off to Kansas State a couple times, did that, and go on to this next opponent and do what we do.
What's the tone amongst the coaching staff? I mean, my sense is that it's not like a finger-pointing blame game. It's a proactive, we got to fix this.
Yeah, we are going to fix it. How quickly this thing gets fixed, I think it was what I talked about earlier. There is no finger pointing, number one. We're all in this thing together. Got a great group of guys. Our fan base could not ask for a better group of guys of what Coach Kingsbury has put together, not just with our coaches, but with our support staff. Here to win championships. We said that all along. I do think the psyche of this team has been, now we got some kinks in the armor a little bit. Some of the things that are surfacing, there may be old habits from the last couple years. I don't know. I don't have all the answers yet, but we will get it fixed. There's no doubt in my mind. We're going to continue to work hard with this group. We're going to continue to develop our young guys, and we're going to continue to recruit.
Do you have any feel for talking about that psyche from the last couple of years? Do you have any feel for if that's something that you could be battling with the players? Yes, Don. I did said that earlier. I do think it's a sensitive deal. I think you don't know that until you run through adversity. I mean, how you respond to adversity. Obviously, there were times early in the year that we had adversity and responded in ball games, but certainly coming out of a disappointing loss in the Oklahoma game, defensively not playing as well as we had expected to play or what our standards were. I think that has knocked us off balance a little bit. The injuries, the finishes to some seasons here in the past, I think has reared its head. And I think for 18, 19, 21-year-old kids, that's a sensitive deal. They know the expectations around here, and we got to come up with that formula to get it right. And we're on the clock. Baylor's coming Saturday, so hopefully we can get it fixed here this weekend. But it will get fixed.
Piggybacking on that just real quick, when you go up against a team like Baylor that runs it for 300 a game, throws it for 400, do you sell out to try to stop one phase and they can beat you with one? Do you try to neutralize both, or really just try?
Yeah, I think you got to try to neutral. You got to pick your poison, so to speak, and we've got to do a good job of disguising what we're doing and then just really executing what we do defensively. And if you're an A-gap run defender, play the A-gap. Don't try to play the A-gap and bounce out and play the B-gap. Whoever that B-gap run defender is, have trust in him that he's going to get the job done. And if something breaks and something happens, let's rally and not let 7 points go to 21 points and crawl into a hole and then try to fight out of it. And I think that's been kind of our, the last couple weeks. We've fallen behind and not played well early, and then try to dig ourselves out of a hole. So I think for them, they've got a two-headed monster because they can do anything against you with the perimeter play, the passing, and the run game, and we'll have to defend the whole field.
What does Seastrunk do well that makes him stand out from the rest of the nation?
Say that again now?
Seastrunk, what makes him stand out from the rest?
I think they've got a lot of confidence. and they're running their system, and that they've been in that system now for a while. They've had stability. They've seen the same faces from their coaching staff, and they've had success. I mean, they've built this thing up a little bit, so I think all that plays into confidence for not just him, but their entire team.
Quick question, Matt. When you say you've got to pick your poison, you're not talking about game planning against just the run. You're talking about on a play-by-play.
Yeah, play-by-play. I mean, we got to pick and choose and, understand that if we do blitz, going back to the Oklahoma State game, even Oklahoma, there were some blitzes that we didn't fit properly, and you're trying to create some things and try to create some confusion and maybe knock a ball loose. Or off a play action, get some pressure in his face, which we had not been able to generate with four down or rushing four. So I think you got to be able to mix and match and be able to bring some pressure at times. But with that, be able to fit the run game. Oklahoma was against Baylor was sell out, sell out, sell out. He was in man free most of the game, and that generated 255 yards of rushing, so I don't know if that's the answer.
Coach, after looking at the film, did you maybe see something that Baker was doing differently that was able to spark the team there in the second quarter and into the second half?
I think that it was just, putting him in the game at that situation, just kind of gave our offense a little energy. He maybe was operating a little faster, but there wasn't, just one thing that you pin it on. And it was just, kind of searching for something to get us going on offense.
You feel like they're trying to make too much happen? If I throw a perfect pass, maybe we can get 2 scores on 1 touchdown.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a tendency as coaches, as players, you want to try to get, you can only get, 6 points every touchdown, and I think that, it's all things that we've all heard before as players, and you guys sitting in here have all heard before around here, but it's just like, just worry about getting a first down, and really it's almost like a mentality of keeping your eyes off the scoreboard and just play and worry about doing your job and doing it for 4 quarters and doing it the whole time. And so that's the thing about football is you got 70 guys traveling with you that you've got to try to hone in and focus in and get them to do that with great focus and a great attention to detail each week.
You sense that they're trying to put too much pressure on themselves?
I just think that they all want to try to make something happen. They're just trying maybe a little too hard, and instead of just relaxing and doing their jobs, doing what they do in practice, Monday through Friday, practices and walkthroughs. So they prepare really well. It's a team that's practiced well, and I think they just let that preparation take over.
Is there somebody that needs to step up, do you think, that from a player standpoint that can help with that on the field?
I just think that, as a group, they've got to just relax and play together and just worry about doing their own job. And, if you watch the film, Eric Ward was a guy that played extremely hard and made a lot of plays. And so you look for guys like that to continue to do that.
Seemed like Davis's throws early on were not so on target. He was throwing high, wasn't necessarily throwing to where the receiver was going to be. Is that different than he's been practicing?
Yeah, it is. He's had great practices, and we all forget that these kids are freshmen, and they're playing against a really good defense. And it's a week-to-week deal, but also, it's a mentally preparing each week, and it's just different for them. Everything this whole season's completely different than what they're used to. And I think that, it was a deal where maybe he was just a little amped up for the game, whatever it is, we just, as a whole just didn't execute as well. And he's had great practices as Baker has as well.
Does it seem like early in the season you're more accurate? Could it be a mental thing that, now they know they're going up against some of these Big 12 tough teams as opposed to the teams that they played earlier in the year, and it's more between their ears?
Yeah, I think it's just settling in and preparing and carrying it over to the game, and to get that mentality of whether it is Kansas State, whether Oklahoma State or Baylor, just to continue your preparation on through Saturday. And there's a lot more people watching, and you'll do it at the game moves a lot faster, but you practice well. Just let it take you through what you can do.
Got a pretty talented receiving core. Do you think Baylor's been tested by a group similar to yours?
As far as our receivers, I think those guys from Oklahoma are really fast. They had a good group of guys that could run. I know Shepard got knocked out of the game early, and Saunders is really fast. We just, these guys, all four of our guys that start and the guys that come in and spell them are competitive and are excited about playing the game. And so, we just try to, today we'll start in practice and preparing for Baylor and try to build the foundation each week all over again. And so our receivers are excited to play. In this offense, how could you not be? And so I think they'll be anxious to get out there on Saturday.
What have you noticed about the Baylor defense on film?
They're playing with a lot of confidence. They're aggressive defense, very physical, and they're running around to the football. And I think that it's a deal where they've stayed the course. They've stayed true to their scheme and to their process, and have believed in it. And those kids believe in it, and they can tell. And they're flying around and playing very aggressive, playing with a lot of confidence and a lot of energy.
Can you talk about your relationship with Coach Briles and just the job he's done down there with that crew?
Yeah, he was the running backs coach here, I guess, for 2 years while I was here, and so very, players coach. Loved spending time with him in the offices whenever I could, and it's not hard to believe the success that he's had, just because of his personality, his competitiveness, and how he can relate to kids and motivate, and he's done a great job everywhere he's been, so it's no surprise, and he's a guy that whenever I was playing, looked to, in terms of, really enjoyed his coaching style and things like that. And all but for 1 week of the year, I'm excited about the success he's had.
You've gone up against Phil Bennett defense. Can you just talk about his style?
It's a, this year, I think they're more aggressive on the perimeter. They're going to challenge our guys, the outside receivers. They'll play more man-to-man. I think that, it's an attacking, aggressive style defense, and so they'll try to heat you up. And so you've got to have a plan of where to go with the football. And so I think they finally feel like they have the pieces in place to do what he really likes to do. And so they're going to be some one-on-one battles that we'll have to win if we want to be successful.
What's your opinion on playing the game in Cowboy Stadium? Do you enjoy going there, or would you rather have it here back on Kansas?
I think it's fun to play a game in Cowboy Stadium. I mean, I think you hate to lose a home game because our especially this season, the way our crowd has been. But typically in the past, it's similar to a home game when we go there. I think it's neat for our kids to play in that stadium. It's a great venue to play in, and so it's neat for us to be going down there and play the last few years.
The lone survivor game, it seems to have had a great effect on the players on your team. How does this experience affect you as a coach? What have you got?
Yeah, it was unbelievable all last week, and just for our kids to really understand that it's more than just a design on a uniform. It is impactful, and I hope that it sits with us all for a long time because it was, watching the movie on Friday night, being around Marcus and his friends that he brought with him is and just understanding that this is very important, what we do, but in the scheme of the world, they've got guys that sit in these meeting rooms that are over there defending our country, and so we get to play football, we get to practice, we get to have these supplements and nice meals and travel well and all that, and those guys are over there fighting for our freedom, and they paid a steep price, and just the appreciation that we have for what they're doing and continue to do, and the true sacrifices that they make, and so there's no comparison the two between what they do and what we do.
Coach, we've seen some shorter passes attempted this year, some of that on Saturday. Would you say that's more, I guess, predicated upon freshman quarterbacks, what the defense has given you?
Just what the defense has given you. Kansas State played some soft coverage on the perimeter, and so we just tried to take what they gave us.
Will that happen again Saturday?
Yeah, well, same thing. We're in we're as offense, we're pretty needy, and so the needy can't be greedy. So we'll take what they give us, and if it's up in our face, then we're going to have to win. And if they back off, then we're going to have to take that. But typically, they've done a good job of challenging. Their corners are really feisty, and they're really good players. And so I think that we'll see a lot of one-on-one on the outside.
What's it like facing an offense that's similar to yours and a coach that knows you well?
I think that their offense is a spread offense, but I think a lot of the concepts are different. And the offense Coach Bryles evolved it into kind of what he's always done, and they've had great success. And once again, it's a group of guys that have stayed true to the process and the end of the program. And you know, I think that it's a challenge for our defense, a challenge for us on offense, and they're playing at a very high level. And so, you know, you just try to, you know, when you get the football, same thing we talked about, make first downs, and those will lead to touchdowns, hopefully.
How difficult is it for you as a coach with a team that's already maybe trying a little bit too hard, going up against a team like Baylor, who's going to score when they get the ball quite a bit, and not put even more pressure on themselves?
Well, I think that you just got to talk about what we do in practice every day, and it's the same thing as doing your job and doing as best as you can, Monday through Friday, practices and walkthroughs, and carry it over to Saturday, and you know, just keep playing as hard as you can.
Sonny, should things kind of change with when Baker's in? Obviously, he hadn't played for a while, and then Davis is in, or the plays are the same. I know Baker, he's more shifty, he can run, things of that nature. But is there anything that kind of changes play calling wise with either one of them?
No. The game plan stays the same, and they both rep it during the week.
Coach, how much pain has Jason Marvin playing through this year?
Well, probably he's taking more big shots. I think because he, you know, than I've seen. I think it's because he's so big. You know, that over the middle, he catches it and takes some big hits, and always gets back up and lines back up. And so I think that, you know, he's like all the guys on our team, you know, and everybody in the country, banged up this year a little bit, but they just keep fighting through it and keep playing through it.
Has there been a week where his status was on the fritz, or?
Not that I know of. Yeah.
What did you think when you saw him come running back in Saturday?
Yeah, I was glad to see him moving around. You know, he looked like he felt better, and you know, just his expression and his body language, he seemed to be relieved that, you know, he seemed like he felt better.
Anything else? All right.